uns Alpine estem mencionen en molts dels noms habituals també de les competicions de renom, guanyadors de la Europa, França, de l'Espanya i de la Cap Europa també. Parlem doncs de gent com Nicola Milan, com Marc Guió, com Gael Castelli, Vincent del Quals, Mateo Herrero, James Jones, que són dels habituals com sempre en aquestes proves, i en aquest cas els participants d'aquest cap de setmana Alpines. Vamos con la parrilla, que ya tenemos ya aquí preparados y por lo tanto vinga, doncs va, preparats perquè el nou any Urbon, la francesa de número 69, està a pole position amb un temps de 2:04.3 i per tant fem un plat música.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a beautifully sunny Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the penultimate rounds of the 2019 Alpine Elf Europa Cup. Scott Woodward's here trackside to guide you through all the action, and the cars are neatly lined up in what is no other word for it, glorious sunshine. If you looked at the conditions earlier on, you'd never have thought it's the same circuit or even the same day. But even so, the rain and the torrential showers have gone away. Thankfully, towards the end of the afternoon, it's been replaced by bright blue skies and nothing but warm temperatures. So, 2 weekends left in the season. First of all, here, of course, in Spain, and the finale back on French turf, home soil for these cars at Circuit Paul Ricard. And we come into the weekend with Gael Castelli having taken a firm championship lead into the weekend. Here's the grid for race number 1. Laurent Hergon starts on pole position. Alongside him, championship leader Gael Castelli by quite some margin. Then it's Nicolas Milan and Marc Guillot on road 2, followed by Mathieu Herrera and Rodolphe Valgren. Vincent Beltoise and Philippe Bourgeois are on row 4 for Mathieu Blaise and Jaime Hernandez, then Yves Lemaitre, Pierre Macchi, and then it's Stéphane Prou, Franck Ruel, and then crucially, Jean-Baptiste Meyer starting at the back of the grid. We should say Jaime Hernandez is the driver in the guest car number 110, so watch for him starting from 10th on the grid. And the car's now off on their formation lap now. And there is car number 29, Mathieu Herrera. He's one of 2 drivers in the junior competition in this championship. So these cars all identical Alpine A110s. And we should say there are quite a few decent prizes up for grabs for the winners of the championship. The overall winner of the championship gets his very own Alpine A110, one of the new shape cars which you're seeing here. And also they get a test drive in the GT4 spec Alpine A110 race car. The winner of the gentleman category, which there are quite a few drivers, more than half the field making that up, they not only get a test drive in the GT4 car, but also 10,000 euros, which is incredible. And then the one I think is probably the most coveted, particularly for the 2 junior drivers, is if whoever wins out of those 2, either Mathieu Herrera or Jean-Baptiste Meyer, will get a test in the Signatech Alpine LMP2 race car, which is pretty special indeed. So the cars off on their formation lap. These cars produce roughly around about 260, 270 horsepower. They weigh only just over 1,000 kilograms, 1,050 to be exact. So they're very light, they corner very level and flat, and they're brilliant little sports cars. And it's only the second year for the Alpine Elf Europa Cup, but it really has grown a little bit in popularity, and it certainly has been great value for money to watch them. There in car 110, there was Jaime Hernandez, as they make their way down the back straight out of Kampse Corner and down to the La Caixa hairpin. It is a 25-minute plus 1 lap race. It is a rolling start, which means the cars will form up 2 by 2 before the start of the race, and it will be a long drag down to the braking zone at turns 1 and 2. The Elf chicane, and then a long right-hander of left 3 at Renault Corner. So again, there's Jaime Hernandez on screen, car 110, our guest driver. That car's been driven by Matt Pryor in the UK, and also by Abby Eaton, who you'll know from the Grand Tour circles, but also she's been quite a prominent racer in the UK, and she's also done a little bit of testing and racing over in the Australian Super 3 Championship, which is kind of like a feeder championship too, or Super 2, I think. It's either Super 2, I think she's done in Australia. And their crucially is Jean-Baptiste Meyer. I don't suspect he will stay there in 15th position, but we'll wait and see. So the cars form up then, 2 by 2 in almost Noah's Ark formation into the chicane. And so it is the black and turquoise number 69 of Laurent Hergon on pole position. Points leader Guy Castelli in the yellow car on the right-hand side with the silver flashes. And they'll wait for the safety car to come in, and then once it's in, the cars will form up and watch for the red lights at the top of the gantry when they go out. 25 minutes plus 1 lap of racing in the race 1 of the penultimate rounds of the 2019 Alpine Elf Europa Cup will be underway. Watch for the red lights on the top left of the screen. Hergon on pole on the left, Castelli on the right alongside. Lights go to green, and we are racing at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Nice even launch from the first couple of rows, already trying to move up well. Looks to be Nicolas Milan from the second row of the grid in the white number 8 car. They fan out looking for their own piece of racing room. They bump and grind and push and shove all the way down towards turn 1. It will be Hergon will get the whole shot. Down on the outside goes Marc Guillot into second place. It's 3 abreast for third between Milan, Castelli and Herrero. 2 cars going off. One of them is Guy Castelli, and there's contact. There's contact. Marc Guillot shoves Hergon wide. Hergon goes spinning across the pack. Somehow gets missed by everybody. Vincent Beltoise runs wide to avoid contact. And there goes number 5, Stefan Prue at the back of the field. But Hergon, the pole man, is out of it at the back of the field for the time being. Meanwhile, Guy Castelli back into the lead into second place from what was around about 7th or 8th on the grid is Rodolphe Valgren. Incredible start for him. Nicolas Milan is 3rd, Guillot 4th. Mathieu Herrera in 5th, Philippe Bourgeois is in 6th, Vincent Beltoise in 7th place. The yellow flags at turn 2, unsurprisingly, for Laurent Hergon. 1 car running wide, that is Marc Guillot off the road. Now, is that a legacy of the contact he had with Laurent Hergon? Either way, he's wide onto the grass, potentially with problems. He goes down towards the bottom of the field, and he's struggling. I think he's got possibly some damage on the right front. I think it may well be a consequence of his contact with Hergon. Meanwhile, championship leader Guy Castelli leads them up through Kampse Corner onto the back straight for the first time. And also, all 3 of the blue cars in the field. You can see the number 18, that was Pierre Mackie, just ahead of our guest driver, Jaime Hernandez. But they've already both been passed by Jean-Baptiste Meyer, who's up to 10th place and passed both Mackie as well. So he's up to 9th. This is now a battle going on between Vincent Beltoise and Mathieu Blaise as they come into Bank de Sabadell, the long right-hander that takes them up towards the end of the lap. And there is Carbonine Philippe Bourgeois now. That's the next target for Vincent Beltoise. Vincent with a lot of experience, having raced in Formula 3, Formula Palmer Audi. He's also raced as well in Porsche Carrera Cup quite often. And also in French GT4. He now finds himself at the wheel of one of these brilliant little Alpines as they funnel their way through the chicane for the first time. Out of New Holland Corner, onto the pit straight. Oh, and that's number 7 off the road. That is Franck Ruel. And that's out at the La Caixa hairpins. He's obviously gone straight on. This is the replay of the start. So both... looks like Castelli and I think also Mathieu Herrera went wide, and that was the contact there. A nerf from Marc Guillot, which sent Laurent Hergon around. I don't know if we'll get an extra angle of it. Yes, we will. So into turn 2. Oh, and Hergon, and looks like Herrera just Marc Guillot just gets over the curb, and then as a result of that, that just sends Hergon spinning. Thankfully, everyone missed him as there goes Vincent Beltoise rejoining. Into the pit lane has come Marc Guillot, sadly, as the leaders come on to lap 2. So, once again, Castelli leads the way. Valgren in 2nd place. Nicolas Milan in 3rd. Mathieu Herrero 4th, but then Beltoise, then Bourgeois. Jean-Baptiste Meyer is already up to 7th place, so a cracking start for the back of the grid. I told you to watch for him. And I did say he wouldn't be one to stay at the back of the field. Now, what's interesting, Rodolphe Valgren is the top gentleman driver in this category. Yellow flag still at turn 10, whilst green flags have been cleared up at turn 2, which suggests that Laurent Hergon's car, I think he's still going, because he did set a time in sector 2, so he's possibly just taking a steady run back to the pits, I think. Out through Kampse Corner. There is number 29, Mathieu Herrero, leading junior driver, but if the form that Jean-Baptiste May is showing continues, how long will that last? There he is, trying to get past Philippe Bourgeois on number 9. And there is the stranded car front rail in the gravel trap. Looks like he's got a long wait, so not sure if we've got a replay of it or not, but into the pit lane comes Laurent Hergon, sadly, with damage to the rear end of that car. And I think he might well end up parking in the pit lane, watching the pit lane behind... Well, actually, Mark, he might have some choice words for Mark after that. Meanwhile, back to our leaders at the front. And this battle goes on. Big tail slide there from Nicolas Milan, under pressure from Mathieu Herrero. As he turned into the chicane, the back end stepped out, and that's going to put him under pressure from the leading junior driver. But how long is that going to last? Because I suspect that Philippe Bourgeois is coming under big pressure from Jean-Baptiste May if he hasn't been passed already. Onto the pit straight. This is the fight for third. Milan in the all-white car. Herrera in the white car with the orange bonnet. As Guy Castelli continues to lead the way then. The gap is 1.1 seconds from Rodolphe Valgren. Milan in third, but again, he's under threat. Here comes Herrero diving up the inside. Vincent Beltoise watches on in the background as Herrero makes a textbook move up the inside into turn 1, and that is into third place for our leading junior driver. Incident involving cars 69 and 21, which is Laurent Hergon and Marc Guillot, is under investigation, but both cars are clearly out of the race unless they can get either of them out again. I suspect Laurent's might be okay to get back out because it might have just been rear-end damage to the bumper. It might be a bit more substantial to the right front of Marc Guillot's car, sadly. As the leading pack turn their way out through Repsol Corner, down towards the hairpin at Sayat. And still, Nicolas Milan's not allowing Mathieu Herrera to get away, and also look behind them because Vincent Beltoise is closed in 5th position. He's going to make it a 3-way scrap for the final podium place. Guy Castelli, meanwhile, has pulled out a gap of 1.1 seconds now over Rudolf Valgren, although Valgren has managed to pull back a 10th in this one, so it was 1.2 over the line. Valgren finding a little pace in that first sector, but let's see how good sector 2 is. Vincent Beltoise is the man on the move, though. He sets the fastest first sector of anyone, a 34.2. There's still yellow flags down at the Lakaisha hairpin due to the stranded number 7 of front wheel. They're still recovering that car down there. But thankfully, he's quite far off the road, but still taking caution. Just looking further back, that is Jean-Baptiste Mayer, who has got past Philippe Bourgeois up into 6th position. Let's look at his last time by. He did a 2 minutes, 0.682 last time by. So let's see if he can pick up any more pace now. He's managed to get himself around Bourgeois. And with a little bit of clear air, he might start to close in on the battle for third now. Here it is. So Milan, then it's Herrero, and then Beltoise, and then Baptiste May. And actually, all three of them, actually, didn't even realise it. They've caught up onto the back of Rodolphe Valgren. So that's now a 4-way fight for what's become 2nd place as they come across the pit straight. And it looks to me as if Herrero has sailed up onto the rear of Valgren. Likewise, Beltoise on Milan, so it could be passes for 2nd and 4th positions on here. Beltoise has a look, puts himself into Milan's mirrors, tries to force him wide. He does miss the apex a little, but he has the optimum line for the second part and looks as though Beltoise might look for the undercut. Not going to work around the outside. He has to take 2 bites at the cherry on the apex through the long right-hander of Renault Corner. Quite aptly named, as these cars, of course, are sort of inspired by sort of the actually Renault parent company in many cases, as they come into Repsol on the 4th time of asking. Into this long right-hander that just opens out on the exit, and then this downhill approach towards the hairpin that again opens out on its apex. It's quite tight entry, but then you start to get the power on nice and easy, and away it goes. And again, remember, these cars are quite lightweight, quite sturdy as well. They corner quite level and flat. They've got bags of grip in them, and you can really throw them about a little bit without getting too vicious. Taking a lot of liberty there with the curb, very liberal with the curb use there was Mathieu Herrera, and he's a pursuit of Rodolphe Valgren in 2nd place. And still double waved those down at the hairpin, so it's taken a while to get front rail's car out of the way, it seems. So no overtaking into the Kaisha hairpin. There is Mathieu Herrera in 3rd place. And they now head up through Bank de Sabadell. Meanwhile, we should mention that Guy Castelli has now got a 2.5 second lead, and it is getting quicker by at least a couple of tenths at least per lap. So Gal has this pretty much under control at this point in time, and he's not looking like any time soon to lose it. He came into the weekend with 120 points in his championship lead. He was 24, if I'm correct, ahead of the 2nd place man, Marc Guillot, who will not score in this race. That will help him out in his advantage. Jean-Baptiste Mayer is in 3rd in the points coming into the weekend. He came in with 79, and he sits in 6th position, but he's behind Mathieu Herrero. There's no Mike Parisi here this weekend. As we see Vincent Beltoise looking to try and make a move here. Milan goes all the way to the inside of the road to defend the position. Beltoise goes, well, if you're going to do that, I'll just say around the outside of you then. And there he goes. Vincent Beltoise using all of his experience and straight through now into what looked like a pretty easy pass for 4th place at the expense of Nicolas Milan. Milan's not finished though. Straight onto the tail of the Frenchman as they turn up through Renault corner. Will he try and get him back into Repsol? He'll try and pull alongside if he can. It's a good run. And again, this time Beltoise has to go to the inside line. Here goes Milan to the outside. He looks for the outside move into Repsol, but I'm sure Beltoise will show him the edge of the road, which he does. Gets the better traction off the corner. Now the sprint down the hill towards Sayat. And it looks to me as if Beltoise has got this one wrapped up by the looks of things. So that's 4th place for Vincent Beltoise. Next target is to get himself on the podium, and 3rd place if he can. There is Vincent. And there is Nicolas Milan. Started on the front row of the grid. And we'll be looking a strong result here if he can. So there's the confirmation of the order so far. 2.8 seconds to the good is Guard Castelli over Rodolphe Valgren, who in turn is still coming under threat from Matti Herrera. There is Castelli at the bottom of the shot in the yellow car. Then we've got our fight for 2nd and our fight for 4th. And actually look behind because Jean-Baptiste Mayer at the back of the shot wasn't too far away. Now cars 77 and 15, that is Guard Castelli and Rodolphe Valgren, are under investigation. I have to admit, not sure what for, because the timing screen hasn't made it clear whether it's possibly running off the road, because they did both go off the road at the first couple of corners. Whether or not that may be deemed as gaining an advantage and passing people as a result of that, I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of. I can't see they've been using too many track limits from what we've seen on the cameras. They've not made any contact with anyone, and I don't think they jumped the start either. So we'll wait and see when it comes up on the screen, if anything comes of that investigation. Meanwhile, scrap for 3rd continues on. And Nicolas Milan is staying out of the toe. I think he's just trying to cool his engine and get some cool air into the radiators. Whether he feels his engine's overheating or not, I'm not sure. There is Matteo Herrero, 3rd place, still chasing after Rodolphe Valgren. But again, we're still not quite sure what this investigation is for our top 2 cars. We'll wait and see what comes of that, if anything. So there's Guard Castelli. Into Repsol corner he goes on lap 6. 14.5 minutes to go, it seems. Under that, plus 1 lap. There's Jean-Baptiste Mayer. Looking back now to 7th place, it's Philippe Bourgeois. And he's ahead of Mathieu Blaise. And that's a scrap that's going on for 2nd and 3rd in the gentleman's class. So that's going to be crucial for their podium. Bourgeois 2nd in gentleman category. Blaise in 3rd. As they head out of Sayat corner, down the hill. And it looks as though lap time-wise for those two, Blaise did... lap was about a 10th slower than Bourgeois. He set a personal best last time. The leaders are into the 159s. In fact, Castelli's last lap was a 158.4, which is 2/10 off his and the race's fastest lap, which is 158.223. The 3 cars behind are doing 159s, low 159s at that, and then everyone else behind is doing 2 minutes, apart from Jean-Baptiste Mayer, who's just done a 158.788 that last lap, so he's closing rapidly on the cars in front. So watch for him. It's the blue car that will be at the back of this 5-car train very shortly, as they come out of Bank de Sabadell and into the S's once again, through the chicane. And Rodolphe Valgren is coming under big pressure from Herrero here as he comes out of the chicane on through New Holland and onto the pit straight. This could be a real chance for Herrero to line him up for a move down the long pit straight, but watch out for Vincent Beltoise behind in 4th position, car number 11. This is now a 3-way scrap for 2nd place now. Castelli's gone away and gone by 4.2 seconds. There he is. But watch this battle for 2nd. Valgren in the white car, number 77. The white and orange car of Matti Herrera in 3rd place. Looks for the outside move. Tries to imitate what Beltoise did a lap ago. Does the undercut on the inside line of turn 1. Forces Valgren wide. Valgren makes the mistake, goes over the runoff area, and through to 2nd place goes Matti Herrera. Ooh, there's almost contact. But Herrera squeezes through, and now Valgren has to immediately go back on the defensive whilst trying to reclaim 2nd place, because here comes Vincent Beltoise in 4th position, looking for a podium place if he can. Looks this way, then that. Valgren also tries to distract Herrera into Repsol corner, but Valgren's only going to do it. Now this is interesting. Here we go. 5-second time penalty for both cars 77 and 15. That is Rodolphe Valgren and crucially the race leader, Guard Castelli. That's for leaving the track with an advantage. Now I suspect that has to be at the start when they went off the road at turns 1 and 2 whilst everything was going on in front of them. They might argue the case they're avoiding an incident, but at the same time, they did gain 1st and 2nd as a result. So the stewards have deemed that's a 5-second penalty for both of them. That now means Guard Castelli has to pull out a gap now to make sure that the race-winning margin is at least 5 seconds to keep this victory. More than 5 seconds will keep it. Anything less will mean that Mathieu Herrero, who's currently in second place, will get the victory. Now, Herrero has cleared Rodolphe Valgren. Now, with the clear air, can he start to ebb into that gap? The gap's only gone up to 4.7 seconds on that last sector. To come to the end of lap 7. And so these 5 second time penalties, this will start to see them push down the order. That would mean that Valgren at the moment would drop down to 6th position if the race was to end now in terms of where they are, and Castelli would in effect be demoted to 2nd place, even though he would win the race on the road, because Mathieu Herrero is within 5 seconds at the moment. Cross the line just past the commentary box, past me now, goes Castelli. What's the lead gap between 1st and 2nd across the line? Herrero goes through, and the gap is 4.9. So it is creeping up a little bit, and Herrero was half a second slower on that lap. As coming down the pit straight, you see Valgren going defensive yet again. He knows that Vincent Beltoise has possibly got a pace advantage. Sweeps back to the racing line, and also right behind him, look for Nicolas Milan and the charging Jean-Baptiste Meyer. He did a personal best. He was the fastest man out of the top 6 so far, was Meyer. 1 minute 58.400 puts him as the fastest man on the circuit right now, and he's really charging on the back of Nicolas Milan. There he is, the blue car in 6th position, right behind the white car of Nicolas Milan. At the back of the shot, runs wide on the exit of the corner, but no change for 2nd down to 6th. There's Beltoise trying to make a move on 3rd place. And out through the right hand at Repsol corner. The gap has now gone out to a fraction over 5 seconds. So at the moment, Guy Castelli is safe from this time penalty, but he can't allow the gap to fall below 5 seconds. Otherwise, the victory, if he stays in 2nd place, will go to Mathieu Herrero. He's pulling away from this fight for 3rd. Valgren against Beltoise, then Milan versus Meyer just behind. We'll see if there's any change for that anytime soon. Looks like Meyer's dropped off a little bit on the back of Nicolas Milan after his small mistake. 2nd to 6th all turn their way through Campsa corner that has won. And Guy Castelli, little lock up under brakes for the Kaisha hairpin. Flash of the headlights, classic technique from Vincent Beltoise. And the gap has gone out to 5.3. So at the moment, it does seem as though Castelli still has a pace advantage. So if he just keeps this up, he should be okay. But just remember, that 5 second time penalty is going to be applied at the end of the race. So his task now, in the next 9.5 minutes plus 1 lap, is to build up as much of an advantage there as Nicolas Milan's car just gives a little spit of flame on the overrun, and that's Vincent Beltoise at the back of Rodolphe Valgren. Now, I think he backed off for a second because he didn't want to try and get past and get a penalty for gaining an advantage by contact. That's a bit cheeky from Vincent Beltoise. He might try and line him up here, but look at this. Nicolas Milan and Jean-Baptiste Meyer in the mix as well. Herrero's escaping up the road in 2nd place. Here comes the quartet for 3rd position. It is Valgren, Beltoise, Milan and Meyer all battling amongst themselves. Herrero's up the road by a couple of seconds. Valgren defends, goes back to the racing line, opens up the door, and Vincent Beltoise says, thank you very much. But he goes way too deep, way too hot into turn 1, goes off of the runner ferry over the gravel, and he will lose 1, 2, 3 spots round the outside. Goes Nicolas Milan, but Beltoise rejoins, almost causes a collision with Milan and Jean-Baptiste Meyer. So much went on there for a second, but somehow Rodolphe Valgren has kept on to 3rd place through all of that. Nicolas Milan is now 4th. Meyer's now into the top 5. Vincent Beltoise, being a little over-enthusiastic into turn 1, has seen him drop to 6th position. Out through Repsol corner. This is the main fight. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, down to the Sayat hairpin. Now it's Nicolas Milan's turn to have an attack. And this is the replay. This is where it all started. Now, Vincent Beltoise on the right goes up towards the chicane. Just breaks a little bit too late. I think he was possibly seeking a possible gap up the inside. Realised that Valgren was there. Little nudge on the rear end of the 77. Valgren bounces over the curve, but manages to keep his car going in a straight line and just holds on. I think Beltoise realised he had to back off. Then he went across the gravel, across the runoff area at turn 1. Milan and Meyer were in the middle of trying to overtake each other. Beltoise reappears, probably scares the life out of Meyer, and has to hold on behind Milan for 4th position for the time being. But now you see, on the exit of that corner, both Milan and Meyer went wide over the curbs and almost lost the back end individually. And what this will now mean is that Beltoise has a great chance of getting back into the mix, into the top 5. He's got to try and get through if he can. Lead gap for the record is now 6.2, so again, that's safe from the 5 second penalty so far. Herrero in 2nd place. His last lap actually was the fastest lap of the race last time by 58.1 for Castelli. He does a 58.3 this time by in more clear air. Can Herrero pick it up? What's his lap this time by? It's a 59.0, so he's still losing 7/10 of a second. And here comes that scrap again, down towards turn 1. Who's going to blink this time? Is it going to be Valgren, Milan, Mella, or Beltoise? Who's it going to be? They're all of them apart from Valgren are up on the inside line of the circuit. Then Meyer decides to take the outside line into turn 1. Milan goes defensive. Meyer looks for the undercut through turn 2. Beltoise watches on. Here comes Meyer. This is the move he tried to make a lap ago, but found Vincent Beltoise rejoining rather quickly. That scared the life out of him. So he's now going to try and line him up here, but Beltoise is looking to try and make a move on Meyer too. And here they come, 4th, 5th and 6th all together. Beltoise swarming over the back of Meyer, who instead is trying to attack the number 8 of Milan as they come up through Repsol corner. And Valgren hasn't escaped too far. In fact, I thought for a second we lost Mati Herrera. In fact, no, we haven't, sorry. But so Herrera's in 2nd place. This is the fight for 3rd. I got a bit confused there. So it is now still Valgren in 3rd place, but he's now being steadily caught, incredibly, despite their battling, by this scrap for 4th position. 6 minutes plus 1 lap to go here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. They all ride over the curves. Beltoise was rather liberal on his curb use on there as they come into Campsa corner. There is Beltoise, number 11. So 6.6 seconds now is the gap between 1st and 2nd. And then it's further 3 seconds back to Valgren, as now it's Meyer's turn to have an attack on Milan down at the Caixa hairpin. Oh, Milan tries to go deep, almost misses the back of Valgren's car. And through up the inside, not just goes Meyer, but also Beltoise, that was simply outbraking himself, and he loses 1 and then 2 positions in the space of a few seconds. Now, Meyer's got a great chance to get himself possibly up into 3rd place now. He might possibly run out of time to catch Herrera unless Herrera makes a mistake. But now it's Meyer's turn to apply the pressure. Can he find a way past Rodolphe Valgren? The answer is yes, he can. Dives up the inside into chicane. Valgren gives him the space and through he goes. That is exactly how you do it, Vincent, says Jean-Baptiste Meyer. No contact involved. Vincent says, right, now I've learned how to do it. Time for me to have a go again. Onto the pit straight. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. It is now Meyer in 3rd position. Valgren 4th. Beltoise 5th and Milan 6th. And look at them, all trying to break the toe down the pit straight. This way and that. You can't weave too much, otherwise you will raise the eye of the stewards if you do it that way. Down the outside comes Valgren, tries to outbrake himself. Meyer breaks a little bit later into turn 1. Has he gone too deep? He just about gets it anchored up, but goes into the apex of turn 2. Valgren looks for the undercut, but he can't get through there. And now here comes Vincent Beltoise. Milan's also in the mix as well. This is the closest fight in the field. Here's that replay. Jean-Baptiste Meyer made sure that Rodolphe Valgren knew he was coming this time and slips his way through. And this is now back to live pictures. And Valgren now defending fastidiously from both Vincent Beltoise and Nicolas Milan. There's only 4.25 minutes plus 1 lap to go now. And Milan's now starting to put the pressure on Beltoise as they turn their way out of Sayat corner, down the hill towards the Verth chicane. Castelli's lead now is 7.5 seconds, so I think, touch wood, unless something drastic happens, he's safe from that 5-second penalty, because when it gets applied at the end of the race, if it was just, the gap would stay as it was, he would still win by, in the timing result, 2.5 seconds, even though his gap, of course, is much bigger on track. Mati Herrera looks pretty much away and gone. We've got warning flag for car 77, and that is for Rodolphe Valgren. And there's our race leader, Gar Castelli. Rodolphe Valgren given a warning flag for going off track and an unsafe rejoin. So this is now again that fight going on. Meyer wide on the exit, as was Beltoise, carried a little more momentum through the hairpin and up into Bank Sabadell. And up down towards the chicane section. Bounding over the curbs as Meyer as he turns in. And then tightest part of the circuit, you flick left and then flick right. And back through the final corner of New Holland onto the pit straight once again. So Gar Castelli goes through. He's still lapping pretty quickly in the 58s, 158.6 for Castelli. Herrera does a 159.2, so he's lost in a further 0.6. And here comes Nicolas Milan now in 6th position, looking for P5 on Vincent Beltoise. Arguably he's got the inside line, but he's not far enough alongside, so he can't make that stick. Sun just starting to peek behind the cloud here at Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, Catalunya. Get it around the right way. Vincent Beltoise working away at the wheel of the number 11 car. You see him through the side window there. Nicolas Milan still giving chase. Quick shout out to the cars behind, because we've watched this battle for so long. There's some good battles forming. We've got Mathieu Blaise and Philippe Bourgeois battling over 7th and 8th position. You've also got in the mix as well Jaime Hernandez in 9th place. He's scrapping away, having a good battle actually with Yves Lemaitre and Pierre Mackie as well. That's over 9th, 10th and 11th. And of course Stéphane Prou, after he had the mishap at the start of the race, he is now back down the order by some 4 seconds. He's some 51 seconds off the lead, but he's 4 seconds behind that scrap for 9th, 10th and 11th places. And we have confirmed that we've lost both Marc Guillot and Laurent Hergon. due to their collisions up at the first corner that caused damage to both cars. Less than 2 minutes to go. I think we're going to get possibly 2 more laps at the end of this one. There is Mati Herrero. He's well and truly escaped the seething mob behind him that have had some great battles. They've all just spread out a little bit more now in this part of the race. Jean-Baptiste Mayer, again, not running very wide. He's got to be careful to do that too many times, otherwise he will raise the ire of the stewards by that and possibly get a slap on the wrist for track limits. Warning flag for car 11, that's Vincent Beltoise for off-track and unsafe release. That must be for when he went off at turn 1 and rejoined just in the path of Jean-Baptiste Mayer and Nicolas Milan. And the pair of them, there is Milan, car number 8, all over the rear end of Rodolphe Valgren again, who has done a cracking job. He is by far the fastest driver in the gentleman class, so he will win that at a canter. It's good to see him battling amongst the 2 junior drivers and the likes of Vincent Beltoise and Nicolas Milan in this race. And there is Jean-Baptiste Mayer, moving one way then the other. Nicolas Milan seems comfortable holding on to that inside line. He must think that if he goes to the inside of the circuit, he gets a shorter run, so therefore it's a quicker lap, but I'm not quite sure that always works all the time, Nicolas. So, penultimate lap then. Vincent Beltoise riding the curb through turn 2 as they turn through Renault corner for the second to last time. There is Mathieu Herrero with a nice clear gap. To be exact, it's 4.8 seconds to the fight for third. Then Valgren, Beltoise and Milan come next. There is Beltoise again. Has anyone got left anything in the tank? Has anyone got something which is going to allow them to find that little bit of extra pace to get through? Jean-Baptiste Mayer again just neatly working away at the wheel as he turns his way through Sayat corner, and then the charge down towards the bottom of the hill through the Verse chicane. Up and over the curbs. Herrera flashes through shot in second place. Clock has gone to 0, so once the leader, Gar Castelli, goes past the pits once again, he will once more have one more time around the circuit. Speaking of which, I was about to say, meanwhile, we've almost forgotten about him, but this is Gar Castelli doing exactly what he did at Silverstone. And he dominated the first race. Seems to have found a nice bit of pace in the second half of the season. And he's looking to try and carry that all the way, hopefully, to the 2019 Alpine Elf Europa Cup title. He's got one more time around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya to complete, so he'll come across the line. Timer has hit 0, but as you can see, he'll get an extra lap. Across the line he goes. The gap for the record is 9.2 seconds, so he looks pretty comfortable. And there it is, final lap at the top of the straight. There's Herrera in second place at the top of the shot. The gap is now to come across the line up to 9.4, so I think it is safe to say that he has pretty much negated the 5-second penalty he's been given. Now, Valgren, meanwhile, you've got to remember, he will actually end up at the moment in 6th because he also has a 5-second penalty because he took the same route at the start of the race that Gar Castelli did, but he hasn't been able to pull away or pull out a 5-second gap, so he will end up in 6th position because he's more than 5 seconds ahead of Mathieu Blaise, who has got ahead of Philippe Bourgeois in that scrap for second place in the gentleman class. And Jaime Hernandez, in his guest race, 4th in class, 9th overall, so he's another gentleman driver. He's doing a pretty fine job as well, so not too bad for a guest driver. Out through Sayat corner for the last time. This is the 14th and final lap here in Barcelona. Of course, there's one more race still to go tomorrow, but Gar Castelli can certainly take into tomorrow's race a lot of confidence and an increase in the championship lead, because Mathieu Herrero, yes, will pick up second place, but ultimately it is going to be Mathieu Herrero will get second place. This should possibly bring him closer a bit to Jean-Baptiste Mayer. It's not going to move him up anywhere. Marc Guillot actually will lose that. Jean-Baptiste Mayer, he'll close the gap up to Marc Guillot. He won't actually overtake him, but the lead will certainly extend for this man. Up through Bank Sabadell on the short sprint towards the chicane. And once again, he had to work for it this time. It wasn't as simple as a lights to flag victory, but Gar Castelli makes his way into the chicane for the final time, flicks left, flicks right, heads through New Holland for the last time. And just as he did at Silverstone, he's going to dominate the race and will take his 3rd win in a row here in the Alpine Elf Europa Cup. Up to the checkered flag, a flash of the headlights in celebration. Gar Castelli wins the first Alpine Elf Europa Cup race here at Barcelona. Second place and the junior category win, also with a celebratory flash of headlights, goes to Mathieu Herrero. 3rd place goes to Jean-Baptiste Mayer. Now 4th on the road will go to Rodolphe Valgren, but he'll drop down the order to 6th. So it should be Vincent Beltoise as it corrects itself on the screen. So Beltoise gets 4th, Milan gets 5th, Rodolphe gets demoted to 6th because of his 5-second penalty. Mathieu Blaise will come through in 7th place. And he's also looking pretty happy with himself. He'll get 2nd in the gentleman category. And Philippe Bourgeois will get 3rd in that category as well. 9th place will go to Jaime Hernandez. Yves Lemaitre in 10th, Stéphane Prou 11th, and Pierre Mackie rounds out the 12 finishes. And of course, we lost sadly Marc Guillot and Laurent Hergon after their collision up at turn 2, which forced both out of the race. And Franck Ruel also out after he went off into the gravel up at the Le Caixa hairpin. Across the line in front of me on my commentary box go Jaime Hernandez and Yves Lemaitre. We're just waiting now for Stéphane Prou and Pierre Mackie, who are a few seconds back, it seems. Here they come. Across the line goes Stéphane Prou. And there on screen, of course, are your top 2. And there, once again, is your once more dominant winner. And now that penalty has been applied. The winning gap shows 4.9, but of course, on the road, it was a lot more than that, 9.9 to be exact. But it seems as though he's too fast, even for a penalty, is Gal Castelli. And that means that he will carry another healthy points total into the next race tomorrow. Surely it will take one step closer to the title, which he'll hopefully, if not securing this today, will secure at Paul Ricard. Here's confirmation of the result from race 1. Gal Castelli wins, with Mati Herrera winning the junior category in 2nd place. His main rival, Jean-Baptiste Meyer, in 3rd. Vincent Beltoise takes 4th. Nicolas Milan 5th. Rodolphe Valgren finished 4th on the road, but gets the penalty, which puts him down to 6th. Mathieu Blaise in 7th place. Philippe Bourgeois 7th. Jaime Hernandez in 8th position. So Philippe Bourgeois 8th. Jaime Hernandez 9th. And Yves Lemaitre in 10th. And Stéphane Prou and Pierre Mackie. And again, we lost Marc Guillot, Laurent Hergon from pole position, and Franck Ruel. So the cars make their way around to pit lane. I'm sure we'll see the podium celebrations. And there's a little crowd of people gathered down underneath the podium where they'll greet the cars to come into the pits. So, of course, they'll have another qualifying session, I believe, tomorrow. If not, the grid will be set by the results of today. Whilst we're waiting for that, I will quickly check the schedule for tomorrow. And yeah, there's a qualifying session first thing tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So they'll qualify to set the grid for race 2 tomorrow. And then that race is scheduled for the Alpine Cup to take place at around about 25 past 1. So a bit early in the day. So now some of the other championships like International GT Open, Euro Formula Open, and GT Cup Open to take place instead. Into the pit lane, I'm sure with a beep of the horn comes Gal Castelli, and he pulls up to the number 1 board. Gets the round of applause from those underneath the podium, and already some celebrations going on. He just unplugs himself, undoes the seatbelts, clambers out of the race-winning car, and I think he's happy with that. Embraces his team members. Some strong results also, as we said, for Mathieu Herrera and Jean-Baptiste Meyer, our 2 junior drivers. They're the 2 men fighting for that Signatech Alpine LMP2 test. At the moment, Jean-Baptiste Meyer is on top, but of course, Mathieu Herrera, that's a strong result, and that's a statement, of course, to Jean-Baptiste Meyer. He's got some great pace. The driver's a bit exhausted there, but Gal Castelli making the most of his sensational drive, and he'll try and do it all again tomorrow, I'm sure, with a strong qualifying. And then hopefully picking up his 4th win in a row to do the double like he did back at Silverstone. Just some conversation going on between a couple of the drivers there. Gal Castelli and one of the podium finishers. Lots of hugs, lots of embraces around that. Jean-Baptiste Meyer there just getting the hug and just... all smiles is Gal Castelli, and I think he's got every reason to be. Plenty more congratulations, and that certainly cements his championship lead even further. There's Mathieu Herrera, both give congratulations. And there is the site in Parc Fermé. Also, we've got, I think, our top drivers in the gentleman category part behind. So we've got Rodolphe Valgren, Mathieu Blaise, and Philippe Bourgeois, who finished 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively. So they're also there, and they'll get their own podium as well. And it also saves for junior space, because, of course, we've got our 2 junior drivers on the podium too, so there's only need for 6 cars down there. Some more sort of team personnel. We've still got one more race to go, which is the Formula Regional European Championship, 2nd race of the weekend. Much drier conditions than it was in race 1, so we'll enjoy that, certainly. But now we just await the podium ceremony for our first Alpine Elf Europa Cup race of the weekend. We see just an endless stream of team mechanics and vehicles going past as they all get prepared for the Formula Regional European Championship race. I can see the cars just below, just in Parc Fermé, waiting to get going. They're just being released now. You should see at the bottom of the screen in a second as they come past, but as we wait for our Alpine Elf Europa Cup podium. There they go. So, of course, we've got one more round tomorrow afternoon, and then we have, of course, our season finale where these cars head back home to Circuit Paul Ricard, where the season will finish. And they've taken in some good circuits this year. They started at the Garo, then they went to Hockenheim in Germany, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and they've, of course, been to Silverstone last time out. And they've entertained wherever they've gone, and it's good to see. If you want more information on that, you can obviously head to the Alpine website. There also is a dedicated Alpine Elf Europa Cup website as well if you want to check them out. And they're also on social media. So there is, on screen, confirmation of your race winner from today. Once again, dominant, Gael Castelli, who wins his third race in a row. I believe he should be down with our team down there to hopefully have a chat on his race victory. If not, he'll be on the podium very shortly. I think the drivers are just starting to make their way to the podium, which they will in a second. So we'll welcome them up before we round off our coverage of today's race. Can see the podium announcer just outside my commentary box window, just is getting ready to announce our top three. So yeah, if you want the information on the championship, you can head to either the website alpinecars.com and search for the Alpine Elf Europa Cup. Or if you want the actual information for the championship website, it's alpineelfeuropacup.com. So you can go to either of those two if you want to find yourself getting involved. And if you fancy having a go in these for 2020, I'm sure that they'll all happily discuss any options you might have for that. I think by seeing the podium announcer and the arrival of a TV camera, I think we're ready to get the podium underway for the first Alpine Elf Europa Cup race of the weekend here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. And so Jean-Baptiste Meyer heads onto the podium. Third place for him. Very strong result. Second in the junior category, of which there are only two drivers. And he was beaten, of course, to second place and winning the junior category to Matteo Herrero, who makes his way onto the podium. Plenty of cheers for him. And all that's left is to welcome up the winner. His third win in a row so far after his double at Silverstone. The victory goes to championship leader Gael Castelli, who bounds out onto the podium. Up to the top step, gives the congratulations to Matteo and to Jean-Baptiste. And of course, it will be the national anthem for the winning driver of France. The national anthem rings out the Marseillaise for our victor, and we'll shortly get the trophies for our top three before they'll get to spray the champagne. Well, they're wandering off without the trophies actually for a second. They've realised we've got silverware to pick up actually. I think they decided, oh, we're done. So, but there it goes, third place to Jean-Baptiste Meyer. They finally realised, oh, we've got trophies to pick up actually. So, second place goes, of course, to Matteo Herrero. He's very happy with that, the Junior Cup victory as well. And once again, race victory for the third time in a row after his double at Silverstone. Gael Castelli maintains his championship lead and extends it going into tomorrow's second race. And so everyone to the top step of the podium. We'll see if they do spray the champagne all together for the group photo. And do they run for the champagne or do they decide to run off the podium? I think they are running for the champagne. Another group photo going on here, I think. So, as the celebrations ring out here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, we say goodbye for today. We'll be back tomorrow for more action for race 2 of the Alpine Europa Cup. With all of us here, for myself, Scott Woodward, and everyone at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, thanks for watching, and catch us for race 2 tomorrow at around about 1:25. But until then, bye for now.